do it now. Boop, down.
All right. Uh, Welcome everyone to this segment of Trent's Fierce Birthday weekend. Welcome, Lauren Birdsong. Welcome
Woo!
to the
Thank you.
pod. Um,
Thank you.
for those that don't know, Lauren, Sharai, and I all went to college together, so that's how the three of us know each other. But Lauren, so as we start everything off with, what's your favorite scary movie?
Oh my gosh, I've thought about this so much. I have 3, okay? Because like it's all when you're watching them, what are you watching it for? All that good stuff. I think consistently I always go back to like the classic Night of the Living Dead. I always go back to that. Recently, I really loved Hereditary. I know that's a divisive film for a lot of people. I've only seen it once. I probably will not watch it for the next 10 years because it kind of fucked me up. But I have to include that. And then I don't know if this is actually considered horror, but I recently rewatched Death Becomes Her. And it's just so ridiculous and fun. And there's horror elements. I love that movie. It's probably my favorite movie. But that's my answer. 3 films.
It's fun.
Good answers.
It's a good answer. It's a good answer. It's a good trio.
Yeah.
So do you have any social media or projects you want to plug?
Ooh, well, social media wise, I've actually been working a lot with dogs the last few years, and I was able to work on a show for Nat Geo last year. And second season is going to be premiering sometime in this winter. Not sure. We don't have a release date yet, but you'll see me working with the dogs in that season. And my dog Honey is featured in the first season, and she may make an appearance in the second season. So I've been working on that. You can follow my personal Instagram at LA Birdsong, same as on Twitter. And dog business is Dog Buddy LA on Instagram and Twitter. If you need more dog photos in your feed.
Love it. We all need more dog photos, always.
I know.
All right, so let's get down into Gothika, because I'm sure we all have lots of thoughts.
Before we do, you keep lagging. Before we do, I just want to go ahead and put out there, this one, I'm going to just go ahead and assume this content warning of sexual assault is going to apply for this one. So if you're listening along and you need to skip this one, definitely feel free to do that. I just don't see this not coming up with the subject matter here. So I just want to put that out into the universe.
Yes, definitely. All right, so Lauren, do you want to start with one of your first thoughts?
Oh, one of my first thoughts. Okay. It was really interesting rewatching this film as an adult. I felt like I had kind of a similar experience as Miranda did, because it was different than watching it for the first time where you don't know anything that's happening. You kind of have certain plot points in the back of your subconscious and you're kind of piecing it together, because I remember a lot of horror elements. Like I always think about Rachel being in the road or being in the swimming pool. I cannot get that out of my head. But I was really fuzzy on the actual plot. So it was really interesting rewatching that as an adult. I don't know. It was wild.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I remember when they showed the house, I was like, or the house where he was doing his business. I was like, oh, that's where I remember now. This is where it's going down.
Yeah.
Oh shit, here we go. For sure.
Yeah.
How you feel,
Amanda, what's your first point?
My first point is like, we've been watching a lot of films with some A-listers, but this was like a power-packed film, and I wasn't ready for it because, like, movie industry isn't like throwing over a lot of money at the time for this kind of work. So I was just like, okay, here's Iron Man, here's Catwoman, Penelope Cruz, and yeah, so I was like gearing up for that because I was just like, dang, does having a lot of money actually make a good movie or not? Could you have cut the butt, but yeah, I just didn't remember it until I resaw. I mean, I like what Lauren was saying, those pop images that are still stuck in like my like memory box. And then suddenly I was like, oh yeah, that did happen. Oh yeah. And it moves quickly. I forgot how quickly Gothika actually moves, where it's like, oh nope, here it is in your face. And so yeah, that's kind of one of my first points of like, there's some heavy hitters, moves quickly. Yeah, that's what I'm going to talk about because I don't want to get you through much of it.
To sort of co-sign on that, I feel like this was the best I've seen Hallie and Penelope yet. I mean, Robert and Charles have done other things forever, and so I'm not going to say this is their best, but I feel like this was probably the best and the most I've ever seen them given as actors. Because usually Penelope's the pretty wife or the pretty girlfriend, and nobody asks more of her from that. And so, like, it was nice to be like, you can do this. Why don't we let you do this more often? And it's like, oh, that's right, sexism. But I also, as usual, I ruined this for myself because I just figure things out because I am that weirdo. But I didn't hate the ride, unlike sometimes where I figured it out and I sit there for the rest of the movie going, just wrap this up. I was like, but how are they going to figure out he's in on this? How are they going to figure out what he did exactly? And so, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's like,
sure.
Even it's a fairly predictable script, but you're still kind of sucked into it.
Yeah, it's the mark of a good thriller because almost all thrillers are basically the same 5-6 plots recycled, but it's about how they get there and if it's engaging as you get there. If that's how you know if it's quality or not.
Which is interesting considering that it is, for a horror film, kind of a star-studded cast. You know, usually that works against the film, but I feel like it actually kind of works for this movie.
Yeah. What you feeling, Trent?
Yeah. Speaking on the cast, so the guy I don't know the actor's name off the top of my head, but the actor that plays the sheriff. I know all actors kind of come with their own baggage from previous projects that they've done. I just innately don't trust him ever. He's currently in a show that's airing right now called Big Sky. I'm not going to give no spoilers, but like, I don't trust him. And so I saw him on this and I was like, I don't trust you. And I was right.
I think his name is John Lynch.
Yeah. I will say he played this character creepy the whole time. Which
you're
is
right.
I was like, because at the bridge, I was like, I don't trust him, but it's too soon. And then he came to visit her in the jail. I was like, oh yeah, he's in on this. What?
Yeah. Like what? Like she just requests a meeting with the sheriff and he's like, hi, I heard you wanted to talk to me. Like, what are you like that would really happen?
Like that, yeah.
And the way he was just so upset, I was like, you and her husband have a history. And I felt like you're involved in the seedy things his husband was doing with this girl who's haunting this woman. So like seeing her piece it together though, because it wouldn't be a movie if she was like, why are you so obsessed with my husband and me? And they answered that right then and there. Yeah.
Right. And let's just put this out there. Our two heroines from this movie who put it all together and kind of saved the day are two women of color. And none of this is about race trauma or anything like that. So I think it came out in like early 2000s. So, hey, props to that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, even though they are, to Sharay's point, that these are different roles for like Penelope Cruz, especially, they are still put into that crazy lady trope. So there's that. But it is nice to see two women supporting one another, and like that to me is what the film is about: is women supporting other women and listening and believing women.
Yes. Like, yeah, I again, like there is no racial trauma on the surface, but at the same time, I can't help but think about like the news articles we see in real life, where if she had been a white woman, she would have not have gone to this like insane asylum. They would have been like, this
Mhm.
doctor couldn't have done it. We'll find the evidence. And so I can't help but think of that, but that's again just like lived experiences. Which is not to knock it, because I do want to see more Black doctors. I do want to see Penelope Cruz do more, because now I'm invested, because I know that she can do more than what they give her, and I hope that they actually give her stuff.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like
Who's
today
turn
it would definitely go down a lot differently. There were points where I'm like, I don't think you would make it out of this alive. You hold a knife up to a cop with a gun, like you probably didn't make it out of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Different endings. So many different endings. I think the movie didn't know how creepy it wanted to be, because it's a thriller, but it wants to be a horror movie. And like that's a murky line already, but it didn't know how creepy it wanted to be, because there were like moments like when the nurse is like, time to wash away your sins. I'm like, why are we doing that in this movie? That's a psychological situation.
Mhm.
Yeah. Why are we going to gaslight people too? Because they were definitely gaslighting Penelope. They were like, no, you're making this up.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was embellishing her rape.
Yeah. Which is why that moment where they hug after she finally believes her, because she went down to solitary to see it, and she's like, it's okay, I forgive you. And I was like, she doesn't deserve forgiveness. She doesn't deserve forgiveness. She was your doctor for how long? And she was just like, and she's off her
And
meds.
just wrapped up in a neat little bow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one thing I did notice too was like this really highlights kind of the growth, and then not whatever like stagnation of how we handle mental health. Because in this film, a lot of the time, if they're just having an episode, they're like, more meds, up their meds, give them, more intense medication, as opposed to like listening to them, which I think is really cool. That was kind of like Miranda's journey, was to learn to listen to Chloe and not just brush her off as, oh, she's crazy, put her on some more meds.
I wondered about this institution, because like, first off, it was not well lit. Secondly, the security was a joke. And up top, where they're trying to make Miranda look like a badass, because they keep talking to her about how she's a genius. Through the whole movie, they're like, you're a brilliant doctor. And I'm like, I think we know she's a brilliant doctor. But up top, when she's like going back to her office, her exact line is, that's extreme. That dose is way too high. I want a copy on my desk Monday. And I'm like, if it's extreme and it's too high, shouldn't we take care of it now?
Monday.
Right now.
We're gonna just let her roll with this dosage for the weekend.
Just write it out for the weekend and hope everything works out.
Yeah,
that facility was built so terribly. Like when Halle Berry was leaving like a badass, and then they're like, oh dang, we have to follow you. It's like when you have that awkward goodbye with somebody, but you're walking in the same space. And I was like, why is she right behind her? Oh, how was this built? Who did this? It's like a Lego house. And I was just like, is that your office? But yeah, that made me feel weird. I was like, come on.
Yeah. I had questions.
I had a lot.
Yeah. I was like, is this a state-funded Texas Institute? Because if so, I'll have less questions. I have less questions. I'm done. I forgot. It all makes sense now. No wonder they didn't have light.
Yeah, the power kept going out. I was like, where's electricity coming from at this point?
Yeah. Apparently Charles S. Dutton was not paying bills while he was doing his other things. Because the lights were out. And also, like, why are you letting a bunch of patients shower in the same square and nobody's watching that? You're like, I turned my back for 1 second. I'm like, you shouldn't be the only nurse in there. There's like 35 women showering, and all of them are like on messed up medication because nobody cares until Monday. And you're just like, I gotta go check out my soaps. I'll be back.
You put all those women to shower at one time. I don't know whose turn it is, but that was one of my points of like throughout the film, they were like taking moments of like horror or thrillers. They were like, first of all, Halle Berry swimming during a huge thunderstorm, that's a no-no. You just don't do that, right? If you had her in the gym, like running on a treadmill, maybe the lights go out all the time. They start hearing things. Like they were just taking bits of things. They're like, ooh, that's scary. Let's put it in here. And I was like, oh, just don't do that because it's not actually working, right? Like it's raining, it's pouring rain. You're not going to see the dead girl. It's just it's your imagination. The roads are damaged. And I was like, y'all. So that was some points to me. Like it just didn't make sense because in the real world, if they're trying to make it that kind of thriller, you're already setting up such an extreme world that we're kind of trying to follow you. Anyways, that was what I was. No one swims in the thunderstorm.
That was one of my concerns. Is she's this brilliant doctor. We keep saying brilliant doctor at her because she needs to believe it, even from her lawyer and the sheriff and her friends. But she's this brilliant doctor who's putting in extra hours on paperwork, not medication, because that can wait till Monday. And then she goes to swim 50 laps at the end of this long ass day where she stayed late at work. And I'm just like, who's building this doctor? What man was like, you know what, I want a brilliant doctor who swims 50 laps a day.
He swims.
Yeah, 50 laps. Because she kept saying that. And I was like,
yeah.
How? Because we all have 9 to 5s.
You could have said like 20 and I would have been impressed. 20 laps. Okay, that's more doable than something you do after work on a Friday night.
Yeah. Because it's not relaxing.
No.
It's not like wine. It's not like, oh, I'm going to have a glass of wine tonight and relax. It's like, you're going to go swim 50 laps after working for 13 hours. For who?
That's
See,
nice.
Sharai and I would more likely have 50 glasses of wine before we would have 50 laps.
Yes. 50 shots, maybe. 50 laps, I don't buy this. Yeah. Yeah, it felt very much like, go for it. Because you're back now, so just go for it.
While I can. What was I going to say? Shit. Y'all go ahead. I can't think anymore. I'm just going to drink.
It's going to come back when you're frozen, and you'll be like having this real cool conversation, and we'll be like, what? You can go, Lauren.
Well, one thing I thought was interesting is I was just imagining what it would be like to be married to a man for that long. And I have to believe like she probably saw some red flags throughout their relationship. He's been doing this their entire relationship. Since he was 15, he killed a girl. It's just part of the gaslighting, I feel like. Like there's so much gaslighting in the movie. And I have to imagine that looking back for her was, I don't know. I know she has to question that intuition. And there's that moment when she goes into the barn and she like slides the door open. She's about to find, the room. And you can see that she has this thought of like, oh, I should go in and check it out. And then she's like, no, she brushes it off. So I feel like that moment really stood out to me, to watch her have that intuitive feeling of, I feel like I should go check this out. I feel like something's wrong. But she tells herself, no, that couldn't be, before ultimately going in and discovering his little play den.
I definitely felt a lot of her not wanting to know.
Right.
Which is a classic symptom in those situations. Like, that's what court TV was when I was a kid, is wives being like, I thought gardening at 2 a.m. was normal. And it's like, did you know, or did you not want to know? So, yeah. Again, it just, especially because, like, she turned on the Nancy Drew real fast once she started seeing ghosts. Because the ghost was like, your clue is not alone. And she was, like, connecting these dots. And so, like, I think it was in part because it was always there in, like, her mind. Like, he goes fishing with his friend and no fish ever come back. He's got clothes that have blood stains, but like, for where? And I think that was just, I don't need to know what's going on. The denial that we see in so many supernatural situations from the parents usually.
Yeah. And it makes sense for her, I think. in her situation. I feel like it's common for people in real life to do that. And I don't know. I just thought that was really interesting to kind of watch those little subtle moments. There's this power play between like logic and science and data versus her intuition and her gut feeling. And you never really know which one is which. Like you said, she's connecting all these dots with Not Alone. It's like, how did you know that's what that meant? That Not Alone meant more victims or another serial killer. Like, she just knows.
Yeah.
Right.
It was the Vegas clue.
And the meaning changed like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was the most obscure clue because, like, typically it's like red rum. And if you like put a mirror up to it, it's like murder. But this was like Not Alone. And it's like, is that the name of an album and the name of a band? Like, is it a drink? Help me help you.
No, it means there's more victims.
Yeah. I also wondered why the dad of
And
the
more
girl who was
killers.
haunting. I also wonder why the dad of the girl who was haunting Halle Berry's Miranda never was like, he's been acting differently towards me. And they never talked about the missing daughter because, again, she's been in the institution for how long? Working and married him for how long? And a missing daughter who was found never comes up at all.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, because her husband knew of her. You know what I mean? And the cop met her and You don't have family Christmas parties? Like coworker Christmas parties? Bring your family? Like, come on.
To the asylum.
To the asylum, have a Christmas party.
That was definitely one of the moments that I was like, why is this picture conveniently in a box in his window right now? Like, what was he packing for? He didn't switch jobs or anything. So I was like, you have a random picture of your daughter in this box for her to see it, but you don't talk to her about your daughter. Or, yeah, that was a convenient moment. And I was like,
Oh, I have a question. So, why is the movie titled Gothika?
I felt like it was a style choice because they wanted to be a little bit gothic and they kept it dark. And this institution is like in a weird old mansion. And so I think that they were like style, but they weren't like, let's tie it in to the script.
Well, I was reading the IMDb trivia, and looking at the title, it said that Gothika is a reference to someone who is in a purgatory state or is perceived as crazy. So I think, that, and then there's also the tattoo of the woman in purgatory, I guess you would take that as, which is like, why did he decide to put that tattoo on his body?
What a mess.
That's what I'm confused about.
That's a whole thing.
And why was he shirtless? Why was he shirtless for the last half of the film?
There's a moment where he's like taking his shirt off and he's like, no, fuck it, I'm going to go shirtless.
Right?
To climb up 4 stairs. Let me go shirtless.
Another convenient moment.
Another convenient moment. The whole police force is out and the doors are locked. Yeah. When he goes down to talk to her. That's not so. Also, what was going to happen when she goes missing and you're the last person who was in the building? Like, what was our plan? What was our plan?
Also, how did they... I find it hard to believe that just Pete doing a Google search about his tattoo plus him having the tattoo would be enough evidence for them to be like, okay, you're good. Like, go live your life. I don't see that happening.
I am also mad that the last time Robert Downey Jr. has lines, he's Googling that tattoo to show up after everything is over and be useless. And I'm just like, that was a throwaway moment. We didn't need that.
Yeah. And he acts like it's such a big thing. Like, if you would have just listened to her this whole time, like, you're so in love with her, but you can't be bothered to do a simple Google search about this tattoo.
Yeah.
If you can remind her she's a brilliant doctor, then you would listen to her. You can't tell her she's a brilliant doctor and then be like, I can't believe you.
Yeah. I'm not looking.
You're like, no, you can just spend your life in jail. It's fine.
Yeah. You're brilliant before today. That's what I should have said. Sorry.
Check out.
Oh,
How you feeling?
and I
Amanda?
totally clocked their relationship from that first moment we see here. Sorry, that's all I was going to say.
All the
Oh, yeah.
relationships were given away. Even the way Charles Dutton
I was
talked to
like-
her. I don't even know his character's name. I was like, he's guilty of something. Then he was dead, and I was like, yeah, he's real guilty of something. And then I was like, I think this fire girl has something to do with it. And then the movie just like unraveled from there, and I was like, oh, so this is going to be the movie. But how we get here? And I stayed. But sorry, you were about to say something, Amanda?
No, I just like, I mean, going back and thinking about this, like she was a doctor of so many of those patients. You're not gonna put her in the same facility, or you're not gonna have them interact during recess or lunch, or
Shower recess
time, or showering time. This is with a dude's movie, right? Let me see naked ladies in the shower,
right.
And I was like, that doesn't happen, man. Like, you're not going to put 35 women in the same shower when you need to control them in a space. You're already segregating them in like the cells where you're going to put them to shower together. Okay. So yeah, it was a dude's movie, and it just didn't make sense because I wonder if she had been more in isolation, what the mind would have done or how they would have done that through this communication of these ghosts and things that are happening that she can't quickly escape from, right? She knows how to get around the facility and get to Penelope, but I wanted that almost relationship. Like, how do the bars and how do they keep her away from that? How does that like add more so she can continue to escape and not make it so easy? Like, oh, you get 15 minutes break, so let's go hang out with all the people that you gave medication to. It doesn't happen, or like, you ain't got another place. You don't have another place to hang out. So that was what for me, like, how do you make it harder to put her in that another space?
Also, like, they need to employ more doctors, because if she kills one and the other one is her friend, then like we need more doctors for this institution, which is why people are on the wrong doses of medication. Because you have 3 people working for everybody.
Missouri,
yeah, you're right. I keep forgetting the Missouri factor.
Where was it set in? Because they talk about the house, but
it felt very Missouri. Yeah. And like even her boss, when she's like, I don't think Pete should be my doctor. And he's like, well, I'm down to brilliant doctors, so it's got to be Pete. He's brilliant too. And I'm like, so there's no one else in this big ass building. You've employed nobody else. What is your budget? Like, where's the money going? Who are you paying?
Yeah, that facility was like every school of theater and dance. We got 3 people who's going to learn the same. This is it.
And you'll learn in the dark, and you'll like it.
One's going on sabbatical. Are you replacing them? No. Now we have 2 great teachers.
They're both brilliant.
That's how I felt about that.
Yeah, I was concerned. Go ahead.
Not sure. Oh, that's what you go.
You're on a delay, so you should just go, because your delay is like.
Trent, where'd you go?
I was just gonna say, can we, when someone is being literally thrown around their cell, can we stop acting like they're doing that to themselves? Because there is no way that she was throwing herself like that in her jail cell.
Yeah. Again, they don't want to know what's happening. They're
just turn a blind eye.
Right? They're like self-harm. And I'm just like, how did she cut not alone into her arm without a blade?
They're like, nope, crazy. You're just bouncing off the walls.
Women are hysterical, always doing this.
Halle Berry was like parkouring, the original parkour. I was like, really, gentlemen?
I was also concerned because this like ghost girl threw her all around the cell, and it looked vicious. And yet, when the doors open, it's like, I'm fine to run. And I'm like, I feel you'd be a little bit injured. You might need a second to catch your breath. Mm-hmm. I know you swim 50 laps a day in your previous life, but like, you took out some shelves, like a bed was thrown at you. Maybe you're not running off the bat. Maybe you need a second to recoup.
Take a second.
Yeah.
She She's still got those Catwoman skills.
Right.
This was the year before. I found out because I was like, which came
never mind.
first?
She was getting her Catwoman skills.
She was on the short list for a Razzie for Gothika and then won a Razzie for Catwoman the next year. So back to back.
I don't think this deserved a Razzie. I think this is probably the best I've seen for Halle because she does a lot of things and she got an Oscar for Monsters Ball, but like I think this is the best I've seen her, and I don't know if that's because her and Penelope were just like so well together, and then of course Mark Downey Jr.
Yeah,
and like you don't want to like be embarrassed by Charles S. Dutton, and so I feel like she showed up, and I feel like Penelope did, and so I wouldn't have. There are many movies where I'd be like, yeah, she gets a Razzie, but this is not the one.
Yeah, she's really good at like constantly having tears in her eyes. Like the whole movie, she's almost about to cry, but nothing spills over. I'm like, how do you do that? How do you keep it in this in between? She's also, how do you hold yourself in the corner of a pool underwater? There's no treading water. I mean, maybe it's the 50 laps. I don't know if that you can just like
That's why they did that.
Yeah, and she was just watching them.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, it's safe to come up now.
Yeah, if you do 50 laps every day, you just can hold your breath for like 20 years. And then
And
that's
out
what we're
swim
all
you
missing. Yeah.
That makes sense. Listen, the writer of this film also wrote Snakes on a Plane.
Oh.
Good to know.
So
Classics.
yeah, I could not see that.
I think I'm correct in that. I remember seeing his name, but
I didn't actually see Snakes on a Plane because you gave
Sex
the
on
title.
a Plane. What?
I didn't see Snakes on a Plane.
Sharai.
Because like they gave everything away in the title, so I was like, well, I know there's gonna be snakes on a plane, and I hate spoilers, so I'll just. Yeah. That probably should be some Razzies.
I think I'm just thinking of why is the ghost so aggressive when you want that person to do what you need to do? Like if a ghost was like scaring me or punching me and they're like, hey, go steal some like raisinets, I'd be like, you slapped me. You like physically threw me across the room and you want me to go get you raisinets? Like it makes no like I was just trying to feel like why was she so violent to her when she was using her as a vessel to do the work she needed to get done?
Because she wasn't listening. She wasn't listening to anyone. She's like, okay, you're not listening. I gotta literally spell it out on your forearm. But true. Why? I don't think that's gonna get her to listen.
Especially because she's possessed her once, so why not just do that again to get what you need to happen instead of just beating her up constantly and then being like, why are we moving forward? Like,
right. And also, like, why not do a different message, like something more specific, like go check out the barn or there's two killers.
Don't trust the sheriff.
Don't trust the sheriff.
Yeah.
Your husband's a killer.
Yeah.
Sheriff Ryan, just like spell it out and it's like not alone. And they're like, I'm going to give you 13 different plots now. Here we go.
Right.
It's a choose your own ending.
Choose your own ending.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
I also wanted to know the timeline because that girl was in that basement for the duration of all of this. So 2 days is different than 2 weeks.
Right. I think they said 2 weeks. Well, she was missing for 2 weeks. So I guess we don't know how long she was actually in there.
Because I think Miranda was unconscious for like 2 days is what Pete told her when she woke up. Mm-hmm. But we don't know about how many days after that before she escapes.
And also, when did she kill her husband?
Like, I want a calendar. I want someone to sit down and be like, she killed him on Monday. She woke up on Wednesday. And she escaped on
Snakes on a Plane.
When did she lose her memory?
Hold on.
Like, did she get in the accident, kill her husband, then lose her memory? Like, did she kill him in a blackout?
Okay, so it was Friday. It's Friday night. She's driving home from work. That's when she gets in the car wreck, and the girl possesses her. She walks home, kills her husband, and then I think Robert Downey Jr.'s character said that she was having seizures or something, and so they sedated her, and then so she was out for 2 days. So that would be Monday, and after that, I don't know. That's the first time.
Can we talk about how Pete wanted to sleep with her more after she killed her husband? Because it was already there, and then he's like, "Well, now that you're single," and I see that you're a problem solver. I'll be by your side forever. And like, Pete, like, who have you been swiping right on? Like, this should not be.
No, Pete.
No, Pete, don't do it.
Yeah. I'm upset about the convenience of the weapon too, because Halle Berry is working 14 plus hours, 50 laps after work. Her husband's doing other stuff in his barn, and they don't look like people that do yard work yet cut a tree down in their yard.
Yeah.
But we have an axe there. I was just like,
yeah.
What?
Right?
I
Also,
just
where was the
didn't
rest of the
understand
tree? Where was the rest of the tree? Because normally when you're chopping wood, it's like for a fireplace or for, I don't know. I don't have trees. But like, it was just like there in this random like stump. And I was like, that's not a decorative piece. You're not like, oh yeah, turn right at the stump with the axe in, and that's our mansion. That's not how that goes.
Yeah, I was like, what is that axe? Follow the yellow road. I was like, no.
Also, where's the barn? Because she drove there. She drove there from her house. Yeah. And how did she know how to get there? Not alone. I know how to get to the barn.
Everything was so convenient when she escaped. She was like, not alone.
Like, husband's creepy barn.
Brilliant doctor. I know how to get to this random barn.
No, because hold up. I think I have the answer to this, because on that Friday night, he had to leave early to go to Willow Creek, which is their other property. I guess they use it to vacation at or whatever. Then she went home. Then we go to the end, and she's escaped, and she goes home. She's looking through pictures and crying, and she sees a picture of them at that Willow Creek house or whatever, and blood drips, and she thinks it's from her nose, but her nose isn't bleeding. So she's like, where the fuck is blood at? And so then that tells her, oh, Phantom Blood tells me to go to this Willow Creek, and that's where my husband happened to be on Friday night. And that's how she found out. Does that make sense? I don't know. But
it does.
That's the script.
My question,
Thank you, Trent.
My question, though, like I know I don't have a vacation home because I am not a brilliant doctor. But if I did have one, I'd like to think that I know what was going on in the basement. So, like, whenever they do go there, she's never like, "What's this bed and camera down here about? Is this blood?" She's just like, "I'm an upstairs girl. I don't do stairs. My husband does the stairs. I do 50 laps in a pool."
She doesn't do basements.
No.
She just chops wood and laughs.
Yeah. Right? He does the stairs. That's how they split that marriage up. Like, because again, I've never had a second home in a basement, but I would want to know what's down there. Yeah.
Yeah, you paying for it.
Yeah. You've never once been like,
She's never once gone down there. I have to believe he's been doing this their whole relationship, but she's never been down there to see the bed and camera and setup.
Well, but wait, hold on, because dude police officer said that he killed the girl when he was 15, and they didn't do it for a really long time. So it had been a long time, and then Rachel was their first getting back into it.
That makes sense.
But that was a couple of years ago, so I imagine there's been a few girls in between. And have they just been like, you can't ever come out here again because we're fishing? Because that feels fishy. Like, you can't come to our summer home anymore because me and the sheriff are fishing. Yes. But don't expect any fish from our fishing trip. Like, I have concerns, especially because, again, she's a brilliant doctor. And so I want her to ask questions.
Yeah. Oh, I have a question. Who was he making those videos for? Because at the end of the video, he walks up to the camera and says, "I told you I was God, love you." So did he know what happened the whole time? Is this like his love note to his wife? I'm real confused.
I think it's his love note to himself. Because
that's what I thought.
Yeah. Because he was telling his wife that he's God up top. I think that he's one of those people who wants to watch himself do the crimes. And so he probably like has alone time watching these videos and is like, I am God.
Yeah.
And I don't know how the sheriff plays into it other than maybe helping him capture them and keep it secret. But again, I don't know what this police force is because like go home at 5 p.m. and leave the sheriff to do whatever he wants to do in the actual building. So I don't.
Yeah. The male roles were written so weirdly for me because when you're talking about Doug and the sheriff, they talk about Doug with such high esteem, like he's this like great, amazing like person that possesses this thing, like you want to be near him, and then it cuts to his office and you see him, and I'm like, okay. Like even when he throws away that line, he's like, I am God. And I was like, that's it? Dude, you had one great line and you said that? You said it like that? So I was looking for that charm of him, right? Like what is it about him that makes him alluring and charming? And I didn't see that with him. And I was just kind of like, oh, he's dead? Oh, I mean, oh no. But that was that element that was weird to me of like everybody like fascinated with Doug, and I was just like, the cartoon's better. Like it was just kind of like, he's not worth it. I didn't find that where you feel sorry for him because you don't know as it builds up. That never happened to me. I was just like, well, he's dead. I'm so sorry.
He also irritated me because he had to throw water on a mirror to prove his point instead of just using his words. And I'm like, you're both doctors, and she's brilliant. So I feel like you could have just said your point. You have to be like, what do you see? I'm like, what is this? This isn't chemistry class. Like, use your words and save your resources. Someone has to clean this shit up. So I was not a fan of Doug.
Mm-mm. Were any of us a fan of Doug?
Yeah,
Anyone like
same.
Doug? No.
We knew from the top he did something, and then she killed
No.
him, and we're like, yeah, he had to do something if the lead kills you. Like, because we can't just have a lead just murder people for fun. We have to be like, it's for a moral reason, and just you wait. I would love to see a movie in which, like, Halle Berry or Penelope Cruz just murders someone, and we don't get to feel good about it. I want that.
And then they get out at the end anyway.
Yeah.
And they're like, thank you so much. You taught me how to listen, except not really, because then this kid shows up and I'm like, I'm going to go about my life.
That's one of my other questions. So she just sees all dead people now? Like she's open for business because of this one incident?
Because she learned how to listen. She learned how to listen, so now she sees it, but she's not going to listen.
No.
Yeah.
That kid is somebody else's problem. She's dealt with hers.
Yeah.
She's like, no.
Yeah. It's like Haley Joel Osment saying leftover stuff. And it's like, look, I can't. And it's like it goes into Halle Berry's realm, and she's like,
But you know what? I am here for Miranda to get a spin-off TV series that's like The Ghost Whisperer and then whatever the other one was. Those two shows that came on about the same time. I'm down for it. Let's do it. Halle Berry as Miranda, and it's perfect.
I would watch that.
I'd watch it. I'd have questions, but I'd watch it.
Those are the best kind.
Yeah. I don't know why I'm here, but I'm here. And then Twitter's like, why are we here? I'm like, I don't know, Twitter.
She can hire Penelope. She can hire Chloe as her like personal assistant, her like secretary.
That's one of my other questions is that like at the end, her and Chloe were having that like really cool moment where it's like, I'm glad you learned how to listen. And she's like, I am too. But like, this is still her doctor and this is still her patient. So would they like be out for like Taco Tuesday? Is that a thing you do once you're like let go from the institution? You just go fraternize with your doctor? Because I know as somebody who's had like counselors and therapists, I'm not gonna go grab drinks with them. Like,
I mean, they already had shower recess together, so like you might as well get a meal or a drink or something. I don't know.
Once you share a snack pack with somebody, it's like the bonds are there.
Yeah, because I saw that and I was like, this does not feel right. I know that's what Hollywood wants, but just because you want it doesn't mean it makes sense.
Yeah, and there's no cars driving by. What the hell? I'm over it.
And Chloe doesn't have any leftover feelings of like, you never believed me. She's just like, no, we are close now.
Yeah. No, we're on the out. We have cool trench coats. You're going to get me a taxi, and then you're going to walk home because you don't need a taxi because that's not a cool plot device if both of us ride home in cars. You have to go see dead people today. And so I was like, I would have rather you not given us this. Did not help this. It just made more questions that I'll never have answers to.
So many questions.
So many.
I mean, yeah. It did set up my TV series idea, and so I'm keeping that for myself.
Pitch it.
Pitch
it.
Do it.
Yeah. If Jennifer Love
I'm calling
Hewitt
Hallie right now.
could get that many seasons of The Ghost Whisperer, we get at least 3 seasons of this. At least 3.
I mean, I think it'd be interesting to see it made now.
Oh,
Like if you kind of delve into those questions.
Yeah. I think it would also be better served just because like mental illness is handled differently. Hopefully handled differently, because we've seen some movies that make me a liar. But when it's given to the right people, we deal with it in a much better way, as opposed to being like, let's make it scary, let's make it not believer. It would be like, no, let's have these conversations and actually like talk about this. We don't just like leave people on high doses of medication for the weekend so we can go swim 50 laps and do some paperwork. And
well, and then also she wasn't there on Monday to do the paperwork. So did they just indefinitely keep her meds that high?
What happened?
That poor patient is probably one of the many victims that we don't get to hear about.
Right. Cover it on the series, I guess.
Not alone. Not alone.
Not alone.
No. Just a trail of a hurt in her wake as she went home to Doug. I guess we should. Do we have hot takes?
I have one. I want Halle Berry to do more genre stuff.
Yeah. I mean, she does a lot of the X-Men, but like some of those are some of those.
I like them, but I want
I like
more.
some of them. Yes. They're hit and miss. I'm not gonna lie about it. I can't be like, this is a franchise I fully support. I'm like, let us sit down and talk about which ones I still sort of like. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my hot take.
My hot take is I feel like not enough weight was given to the fact that the sheriff was going into prisons and assaulting women. It was kind of like a C plot line. But like, if you're gonna like pull that out, you gotta handle that, because it felt like it was just there to be like, other things are happening in this place. And instead of, this is a conversation we're gonna have and a crime we're gonna actually solve. Like, I care less about Doug and if we know what Doug did, and more about like the people we know are being hurt. And nobody seemed to care. They were like, what did Miranda do? And it's like, Miranda's not harming your patients. So like, look at that.
Yeah, that's a good hot take.
That was a good hot take. I like that.
Thank you. I try.
Yeah, I think delving more into, there's so many different complex like issues going on in this movie. I think like you have the god complexes of the dudes, and you have the, you know, these systems that allow them to get away with it. They're scapegoating these women to be able to cover up their crimes together. I would want to go more in depth with those things. Definitely.
Same.
And listen to ghosts. Listen to the ghosts that are tossing you around.
Yes. You have to believe women and believe women ghosts.
And believe ghosts. Believe the women ghosts.
Yes. They're haunting you for a reason. And it's usually your
and
husband.
assaulting you.
Yeah. You got a hot take, Amanda? You look so stressed.
I was just thinking of like, I know it's Hollywood, so they probably reuse a lot of the outfits of like, this is a nurse outfit, this is a doctor's outfit. So I don't know. It just felt kind of dated in the way that nurses and doctors were represented in a way. Or the psychiatrists are the ones that can like dress in like outside wear. So like the costuming of it in a way of the world built. Yeah, I just have a lot of questions about it, but like those elements of, do people know what it's like? Are they you know, if you're writing this kind of work, do you go into the spaces and observe? Or are you just like going through your memory, like what you think a facility like this looks like? And I think like we were talking about with mental health and other things is that you just have to like do the work. You have to do the research. And I think that's even like being truthful is going to be more frightening of how scary it actually is in this world, how we treat people with mental health. And like those facilities aren't that great, right? You know, like not all, you know, some are doing the work they need to do, but I think if you're gonna write something that's horror and terrifying, is like just show the truth, and be a little bit more, creating that space, because it just didn't. They had windows and glass with somebody who's like under watch for like suicide, you know, like all of these things weren't making sense of the space. So I had a lot of questions about that. That's my hot take. Do your research, yo. Do the things. Because the truth is scary.
It's the scariest thing. Which is why nobody wants to talk about it.
Nobody wants to talk about it.
No. They're like, I see the truth. I'm going to step over her. Because I don't have time today. Put it on my desk for Monday. Yeah, I feel like that is Gothika.
Well,
that is Gothika.
Yeah.
Not alone. Brilliant doctor.
That is
Snakes on a
Gothika.
plane.
Not alone. Hashtag not alone. Hashtag brilliant doctor. Hashtag
believe women ghosts.
Yeah.
Women ghosts.
Yeah.
So
this is probably my
ghosts.
favorite movie
them.
of the weekend
Just the
so far.
Oh, nice. I do enjoy this movie. I still enjoy it.
Yeah.
With all its, surface level stuff. It's fun.
Yeah, I feel like because we definitely hit up the
It's probably
babysitter
second for me.
So yeah, I'm liking this much more than.
This is second for me behind
what?
Next to your next. Your next is my favorite. I was just saying, this is second for me behind your next. So
I'm inversing them.
Your next is my favorite so far.
Yeah, because like Hush made me angry, and the babysitter upsetting me for various reasons. Also kept using Queen and not earning Queen, but I won't rehash that because that's up there on the internet already. So I'm just gonna let it go for today. But yeah,
All
this
right.
is one.
So we'll be back at. I was going to say we'll be back at 8:00 to cover An American Werewolf in London.
8 Central. 9
What?
Eastern.
Yes.
Yay.
Oh, 8
All right.
Central. What did I say? Whatever.
You said 8, and I was like,
Uh-oh.
let's specify so people don't get into my DMs because I won't answer. 8 Central, 9 Eastern. Yes. And that's our last movie of this weekend.
Yes.
So we can all drink freely without these movies. And times to be here. Yay. Sunday nights.
Everybody swim some laps.
All right. Thank you, Lauren, for joining us.
Thank you. So good to
Yes.
see everyone.
55 laps.
Now, Lauren.
Yes.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.